With yesterday's loss, the Diamondback season seems to be coming to a close, or do they still have a shot with only 3 games left?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, the show where we talk nothing but the D-backs Monday through Friday. And thank you so much for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. I'm your host, Danny Biggs, and as you can see, I am joined by a very special guest. That's on that side of the screen. Diamondbacks and Arizona sports expert, Eric Parra. How's it going, Eric?
Good, man. Good. Happy to be here.
I asked when he jumped on initially, I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, good. Wait, no, bad.
Yeah, I wanted to start it off on a positive note, but I think everyone in the Valley is feeling the sting of today.
If we're being honest, yeah, no, we're not going into today very well. But I am really excited to talk to you about it. So Eric and I we went to high school together. I had to double check that. I was like, I think that's where we know each other. But we've been following each other on Facebook for years. And, Eric always has a lot of big thoughts on the Diamondbacks. So I really wanted to see what he had to say about, today. I was hoping when I invited you that they would win the series and we would have good things to say. And after they lost, I texted and said, hey, are you sure you still want to do this? We can cancel it. He's like, no, this is what I was made for. I got this. So, but anyway, we're going to be talking today about the Dodgers series as a whole. We're also going to be looking at the upcoming series with the Padres, which will be the final regular season series of the year. But before we do that, let's go ahead and look at yesterday's game. Eric, lay it on me. What did you think about yesterday's game?
It
was a nail biter, huh?
No, dude. And my whole thing is when you look at the game 2 days ago, we were able to battle back. It looked like we were going to get another walk-off win, and we just fell short. And I was telling you, I don't mind a tough beat when it comes at the hands of just getting outplayed and you just came up short. But when I woke up yesterday and I saw the decision to not start Zach Gallen and they were going to go with a bullpen game and Beeks was going to be the opener, I had the feeling and I said, this is going to be one of those 50-50 gambles. And I don't think that this is a game that we should be 50-50 gambling on. And unfortunately it didn't turn out well for us.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, especially going up against Yamamoto, who we historically do not do well against. And I was like, okay, Yamamoto, Zach Gallen, it's going to be another pitcher's duel. If Zach Gallen can shut them out, Yamamoto will shut us out. But then we're in the bullpen, and then it's the bullpen game. And that was game 1 and 2. We did really well as far as the bullpen game went. But then, yeah, this morning, and I actually had some people commenting because on yesterday's show, I was all like, Zach Gallen's going out and he's going to do great. And everybody's commenting like, no, did you not watch the post-game show? And I had to admit, no, I didn't. I went to bed early because I was sad. But then I was even more sad because I was like, okay, well, Lovello's tossing the series then. And because the other thing is, so Beeks is going to start, and I was confident that Beeks could do the first inning, and he did. He went through, first 3 batters, got through them all really well. And then the Dodgers rearranged their batting order a little bit so that Freeman would start the second inning, that he would bat cleanup. And so Lovello decided to send Beeks out there, which I thought was I think that was a good strategy, have him throw one more and then bring in Krismat. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out. I don't think to anybody's fault, although Beeks, the pitch that he gave up to Freeman was it was definitely a missed pitch there. But I don't think that's anybody's fault as far as strategy. And then Krismat comes up, and the very first batter he faces, it's a home run, and that just did not set the game up very well. The other thing about Krismat is that he's an incredibly talented off-speed pitcher. The Krismat curve. I mean, that he is incredible. The problem is that the Dodgers, they struggle against fastballs and cutters and sinkers, but they crush off-speed pitches. And so this might be a hindsight thing, but I feel like that's something that they probably knew. It does feel increasingly strange that they decided to go that route when Gallen was ready to go. Though it sounds like they were a little bit nervous about having Gallen and Erod pitch with only the 4 days rest or however much it was. And they wanted to give him an extra day. So I guess I understand that, but it did immediately feel like, okay, well, we're throwing the game then, and we're just going for a sweep against the Padres, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, and it's those types of decisions, and for everybody who's been lifelong fans that follow the team, we know the brand of baseball that Torey Lovello brings to the table, and he makes these decisions where sometimes it does feel like you can generally have your finger on the pulse of a game, and when you just go with these statistic moves, I think rewinding the clock back to 2 nights ago, where we have Jerry at the plate, the guy who just walked it off the night prior, and we've got no outs, Cattell on second, and he successfully lays down the bunt. He did what he needed to do, and in those situations, you do have to be able to bring somebody 90 feet to win the game with less than 2 outs. But it's those types of decisions where sometimes if you're gonna take all of the gut, all of the humanity out of the game, and you go straight statistics, sometimes they don't tell the whole story. And with Chrismat, he's been great for us with the limited time that we've seen him. And like you said, like the signature Chrismat changeup, where I think he got Shohei Ohtani, was way out in front of one, ugly swing with the bases loaded. It's like we saw glimpses of that, but it did really seem like, why would we be load managing when we don't even have a guarantee that we're playing 5 days from now? And it's like, and these are the types of situations where I think that you have to be more aggressive, and it's like, create the chaos. There is no chaos in playing it safe and then getting burned. Right. It's like, if we've got to put our best guy out there. Zach Gallen is our best option in a have to win game. And in Los Angeles, they were still playing. They're trying to clinch a spot. So it's not like they were saying, oh, we're already in it, let's phone it in. They wanted to win the game. They proved that by bringing Kershaw out of the pen 2 nights prior. Right. And it's like, they wanted to play hard. They wanted to win this game. And it seems like we shied away from the challenge, and it ended up really hurting us. And unfortunately, again, the narrative is no run support. The bats went cold, and it just seemed like we really couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, which I expected that with seeing Yamamoto on the. Honestly, I saw that with all 3 games. I was like, Ohtani, we're going to struggle against him. Snell, we're going to struggle against him, which we always have. Yamamoto, we're going to struggle against him. We always have. And so it was always about playing the small ball and getting those starting pitchers out as fast as we could. To varying degrees, we were successful in that. And it was when we were able to force the bullpen in, which the Dodger bullpen is bare bones right now, that we're able to do something good. But when the bullpen comes in and it's 8-0, the pressure's off and they're good to go, which they were today. You brought up offense, though. The Diamondbacks had 2 innings in a row early on in the 2nd inning and the 3rd inning where we had 2 runners on. And the first time we had runners on 1st and 2nd with Corbin Carroll up. The second time we had 2 runners in scoring position with Tim Tawa up, who's been, who's proven he can be clutch. And both times we couldn't do anything. And both times it was 4-0. It was still like we were still within striking distance. And in the first 2 games we were down. Yeah. They had 4 runs. And so either one of those, had they just gotten 1 run, I feel like that would have changed the entire narrative, the entire script of the game. But they just weren't able. They just weren't able to do that.
Well, and I think it's important to look at too. Because I feel like the narrative for this season has been one of 3 things. They said, oh, the injuries, right? I mean, pick the low-hanging fruit, the injuries. Or, they like to point the finger at the bullpen when we had that stretch during the dog days where they really couldn't get anything together. And it's like those blown saves, you take away half of the blown saves and we won the division.
Yeah.
But the thing that hasn't been brought up enough is that the Diamondbacks, I believe, are like 18th or 19th in the league when it comes to failing to produce runs with runners in scoring position. I mean, all year we've seen the offense have an inability to move the chains when we have runners on second and third with less than 2 outs. And it's like that has been a glaring problem that hasn't really been brought up a lot because of all these other things. But it's like you could very easily go back to that series against Colorado where we should have won that series, and we dropped 3 games in Colorado to what was on track to be the historically worst team in baseball. And it's like, and what was the narrative was, it wasn't that we weren't producing hits, is that we weren't producing quality hits in situations where we absolutely had to. And again, it's like, we've seen it time and time again. We leave them stranded. And I have a group chat with a couple of other, diehard Arizona fans. And we've adopted the motto, leave them stranded. It's the Diamondbacks way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you did bring that up, because there was multiple times where we still were in the game yesterday and just fell short.
Definitely. Yeah. I have nothing to add to that. Totally agree. That's absolutely been a problem for years with the Diamondbacks, and which I think we saw in game 1 and game 2 in certain innings. They were able to generate the momentum necessary, and it was kind of that, it felt like they were going up to the plate batting not for themselves but for the next guy. And Perdomo even brought that up. I don't remember if it was in an interview or just somebody heard him talk about that yesterday, but he was going up to bat with Marte behind him, and he said, "Hey, I'm not going to be the last one out." And he went up there and he wasn't. And that's the mindset that they need to be in, is just whatever it takes. I am not going to be the next one out, or I'm not going to be the first out in this inning, or whatever it is. And if that's the mindset, then I think that's what will lead to success, which Perdomo has been a mindset guru. He has been amazing with that. That's the reason they've been so successful lately. And really, it may be a little late for the season. I mean, we're not out of it yet. We'll talk about it a little bit. I'm kind of personally, I'm kind of like, okay, if we show up here on Monday and we say, well, that was the season, we're out, I've accepted it. I would love to say otherwise, but I'm just expecting that at this point. But I think going into next year, Perdomo having this whole experience as a team, and these are all guys we're going to have next year, having this experience, I think, is going to give us a great start to next year, as well as, we'll pick up guys in the off season and we'll start getting people healthy halfway through the year. Corbin Burns, Lourdes, AJ Puck, hopefully, and others. And so I'm optimistic about next year. And I've been saying on this podcast for the last couple of weeks that this is, I believe, a playoff caliber team. The last month or so, last couple of weeks, they've been a playoff caliber team, but they have dropped the ball so many times this year before that they dug themselves a hole too deep. They couldn't climb out of it.
And I think that's a great talking point, because it's like, you're right. If you look at the totality of the last like 5.5 months of baseball, we've gone through these spells where we were looking horrendous and we couldn't get anything together, and we were dropping series that we shouldn't have been dropping. And yet to find ourselves 3 games left in the season with an outside shot of sneaking into a wild card spot, it does speak volumes of just the sheer level of talent that the team has. It's like, even when things aren't going our way and you're losing people left and right, the ability to bring people up from Reno, Amarillo, just plug them into the system and rely on our core guys like Gabby Moreno really stepping up here in the last month. And it's like, we've went 20 for 32 of our last games. And so it's like they did fight. And I think, to touch on your point on why we should be optimistic about the Diamondbacks, is that as an Arizona sports fan, and outside of we are longing for a team to take on the identity of the Valley, right? It's like we're longing for a team who's going to come in here and say, you know what, we want to win, and we want to win for Arizona. We want to win for this city, for this state. And I think that the closest thing that we have to that right now is this Arizona Diamondbacks team. I mean, we have a core of young guys who came up through the farm system. We did add all these other guys and we made a lot of moves, but the core of the team was drafted or came up through the system, and they want to win, and they want to win for the Diamondbacks. And it's like they go out there and they show resilience, they fight hard, and they want to make another run. And I think that you see that more so with the Diamondbacks than any other team here in the Valley. And it's like, that's what really brings me more hope. Even if we do lose out on sneaking into the wild card this year, knowing that those same guys are going to be back next year. And, hopefully with some new additions and some key components getting healthy, that same attitude, that same mindset that they want to win here. It goes a long way, and it resonates with me as an Arizona fan to see a team that wants to fight, that wants to win here, and that isn't just going to give up, where some other teams in the Valley, not to name drop, it doesn't seem like they have that much of a desire to win.
There's only so many other ones that we could be talking about, and it's not the Mercury.
Tonight, game 3, I will be in attendance for game 4 on Sunday to hopefully see them punch their ticket to try to go for a 4th title. So shout out the Merc.
All right, you guys, we're going to take a little break. Up next, we're going to be talking a bit more just about the Dodger series as a whole, though we've covered a lot of things already here. But we'll be talking about that here in just a second. So stay right there. What do you get, Eric, when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? You have confidence, pure confidence. If you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiet Go Long. That's exactly where Rougiets Go Long come in. This isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The effects can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. Ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to rugiet.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Remember to use our code so they know that we sent you. There we go. How was that ad read?
That was great. Yeah, I was going to say freedom. You're asking me that
Freedom's
question.
good too.
My mind went to
good.
freedom.
Okay, a couple things I wanted to bring up with the series is I'm very impressed with our bullpen lately. I've been very impressed with them. They haven't been perfect, but again, we're talking AAA guys who should still be in AAA right now. Yeah. Yesterday we saw the first major league appearance of Austin Pope, and this is crazy. He's making his major league debut against Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, and he goes 2 full innings, gives up 2 hits, gets his first strikeout, doesn't give up any runs. And then you have in the series prior, you have Philip Abner having his MLB debut, and his first batter is Kyle Schwarber, and then Bryce Harper, and his first batter, who is Kyle Schwarber, he strikes out. I mean, like, crazy stuff, and it's not like it's low stakes, right? I mean, Pope maybe because he came in the 6th inning, and we're down 8-0, but we're in a wild card race. I mean, we're making a run. It's late in the season, and these guys are pitching in high leverage situations. Taylor Rashi, he pitched. He started super well, and I think this is where all, as far as our young bullpen pitchers go. They start out, they have a few really good games. I don't know if the other team gets the book on them a little bit or if they get inside their own head a little bit, but they struggle a little bit for a few games, and then they kind of come back out of it. Taylor Rashi, I think, has come out of his little uncanny valley, his little slump. He pitched 3 innings yesterday, only gave up 1 hit, and he had 6 strikeouts. And, I mean, very impressive outing. And, I mean, our bullpen beat the Dodger bullpen every time. I mean, if you don't include Beeks and Krismat.
Right. And I think it's worth throwing in there too was Brandon Garcia, who we brought over with the Josh Naylor trade. I mean, to
100%.
go in there in the 10th inning in that situation and immediately get Shohei off the board and then get out of that unscathed. I mean, granted, I think the star play was Corbin Carroll throwing Hassan Kim out at home plate to save the run. But also it's like, you got to look at the fact that Brandon Garcia was able to efficiently work through that 10th inning, which effectively kept the dream alive. And we just kind of fell up short. But it's like, I think you're right, because so many people, the narrative is they want to just automatically point to the bullpen. But it's like, if you look, the proof is in the pudding here. They've really turned it around. And even guys like Ryan Thompson in high leverage situations, I mean, it was abysmal at the beginning of the year. And we were wondering, if we didn't have that many injuries at the major league and AAA level, if he would even be on the roster. But due to circumstances, he was, and there were so many times where it was a sigh. It was like you could feel the air get sucked out of the stadium when he's coming out of the bullpen. To see him turn it around the way that he has, Juan Murillo, same thing. It's just like, these guys are not guys that should be in these types of situations, and yet they find themselves getting thrown into them. And they kept the games competitive, and that's all you can really ask for. But yeah, no, it's definitely been an understated story, is the ability for these guys. I mean, we had this Krismat, for example. He got cut from the AAA affiliate of Philly.
That's right.
It's like, he was playing AAA ball. He gets cut from the AAA level. We pick him up out of necessity. He gets thrown at the major league level. And up until yesterday's game, he worked 7 scoreless innings, and he's had great outings for us. So it's like, I do think that's a headline that has been understated due to the lack of wins, especially in this series. But it very well could have been way less of competitive games without some of these key young guys stepping up and keeping us in the game. So,
yeah, 100%. Which I'm not coming out here and saying, okay, well, don't worry about picking up any pitchers next year. I'm definitely saying, hey, Hazen, we need to stock that bullpen again, and we need to get our rotation, especially if whether, I don't know if we're going to decide to go with Gallen or not for next year, but we have to, we definitely need to, bulk up again. But it is always nice to know that we have those guys, that they're there. They'll continue to develop in AAA or in the majors, wherever they end up. And then we'll have them for a good long while. One thing about this series, though, that did upset me a bit was, I feel like up until this point, the middle and bottom of our lineup has been the ones carrying us. Blaze Alexander, Tim Tawa, even Jordan Lawler, and I feel like this Dodgers series, specifically this Dodgers series, they went quiet. And thankfully, Marte and Carroll and Perdomo and Moreno as well have stepped it up. And they were able to. It's because of them that we won game one.
Shout out ADC. I think the real,
and then
MVP
ADC. That's right.
Of that series.
Del Castillo.
He was the one in those pinch hit situations that really came through for us 2 nights in a row to keep us in the game.
Yeah, and so, and they were able to win it for the top of the lineup, and ADC were able to win it for us in game one. In game two, we would have won if the middle and bottom of the lineup was able to just show up a little bit more.
I hate being that guy who just starts name dropping, but I'm tell you what, the problem with the bunt wasn't the bunt. It was the fact that you allowed them to then just load the bases because they knew who was going to be there. It was Jake McCarthy in that game specifically, because it was in extras and you didn't anticipate it going to extras. There was no Lawler to throw in. There wasn't anybody else that you could put into that position. So what do? They throw Corbin on, they throw Gabby on, and then who do we have at the plate? We have Jake McCarthy, who, you know, I understand the sentimental value. Trust me, it's like I look back on everything with rose-colored glasses, but I mean, to not be able to produce a sacrifice fly or anything that was going to get that runner in, you have to be better than that in those situations. And it was that part of the lineup that just absolutely crushed us. And we were burning players, pinch hitting, plugging all the pieces in. It worked out with ADC when they faked him out with Lawler just so we could get the pitching matchup. And then they throw ADC and he hits that home run, luckily. But those things always don't work out that way. And not being able to rely on guys like Alec Thomas, not being able to rely on guys like Jake McCarthy, you know, Ildemaro Vargas, Barossa, abysmal at the plate. I mean, these guys were automatic outs, and it wasn't even competitive. And you know, I again, I'm not trying to call these guys are major league players. I sit on the couch and watch, but I mean, it was a glaring problem. And specifically when Jake McCarthy flies out to just past the pitcher's mound, and then James McCann follows it up with a similar fly out with the bases loaded in a game-winning situation. It absolutely killed us.
Totally. And it's tough too. And I think this is just this, I think this is a sign of baseball maturity, is the ability to play hard, do well. And then when you're out of gas, to be able to keep going and to be able to continue to show up. And you see that in the older guys, and Marte and Carroll had their slumps. Perdomo had a slump right before then, and he was able to come out of it. Marte and Carroll were able to come out of theirs. Moreno kind of just has always been able to come back up, and Moreno doesn't stay in a slump for more than a game. But then you have these young guys like, I mean, on this podcast, I was raving about Blaze Alexander. I was like, man, he's awesome. He's great. He can do no wrong. But he's still a young guy, and he runs out of steam, and he doesn't know what to do at that point. And he's struggled a bit.
I think you touched on it briefly when you were kind of giving praise to all the young guys that have been coming out of the pen, but there is a factor too where when you're coming out of the triple or double A level baseball and you're getting called up, especially late in the season, where you can still retain your rookie status and be on the roster for a little bit. That's when you see those guys and they seemingly come out and they're explosive, but it's not necessarily like the talent level was there. It's because they have no idea who that guy is. You know, it's like you show up, they don't know where to pitch you. They don't have scouting reports on you. And so it's like you can, you know, it seems like, oh, they're off to a hot start. This guy's going to be amazing. But then you see once they're consistently in the lineup and they see you a couple times, they're going to know like, hey, look, like here's where we need to pitch them. Here's the adjustments we need to make. And then, you know, they have a drop off. You're like, oh, they're in a slump. Well, actually they're just playing at the level that they should be playing at comparatively. The other team just has enough tape or whatever it is where now they got you figured out. And it's I think you see it more so with pitchers because then they get found out, they leave one hanging and it's gone. But I think similar thing happened to Blaze where it's like we saw flashes of him here and there, but then when he became a more regular thing towards the end of the season, noticeably they started pitching him in ways where he started struggling. So
you just throw him a slider or a curveball way out of the zone and he'll swing every time. So
especially if he bites early and gets behind in the count, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. All right, well, we have one more break real quick that we're going to take, and then we're going to talk about the much-awaited final series of the season. So stay right there. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Okay, so we've arrived at this weird point, And let me lay it out for everybody so we have it. Someday I'm going to have graphics on screen, which doesn't really help those who are just listening, but they're fun. I haven't figured that out yet. We'll get there. So we are currently 2 games behind the Mets in their wild card spot, and we are 1 game behind the Reds. However, we have the tiebreaker against the Mets. We do not have the tiebreaker against the Reds. So essentially, we are 2 games behind both teams. We can tie with the Mets. We cannot tie with the Reds. So if we want to make the postseason, which it is possible, the end of the season, you always see these epic collapses in the last couple series. And the Mets and the Reds have both shown they are very capable of collapsing. Unfortunately, the Diamondbacks are as well. So you never know. But I feel like I remember 2023, we lost like 6, 7 out of 10 games in this tight race, and we still made it because everybody else lost 8 out of 10 games.
I think that's the funniest thing to me when you look back is that run after the All-Star break in 2023 was a complete collapse, and it was like people seem to forget that we like lost our way in, and it was I was a season ticket holder that year, and I'm telling you, the stadium was not rocking August of 2023. It like nobody thought we were gonna make it. So
no, and nobody thinks we're gonna make it now. So also, I pointed out yesterday the Mariners won their division for the first time since 2001. What else happened in 2001? I don't know. We'll talk about that later. In the baseball world, of course. So anyway, if we somehow manage to sweep the Padres, which I argue has to happen, whether or not we make it to the playoffs, we need to end the season strong. And the best way to do that after losing to the Dodgers is a solid sweep against the Padres. And I think that's what Lovello is kind of counting on. He's like, I don't know that Gallen versus Yamamoto will result in a win. So maybe, and this is that 50-50, gambling there. He may have been like, you know what? We have a better chance of sweeping the Padres than we do of winning against the Dodgers. So, which the number of wins stays the same if that's the case, and then whatever. But if we sweep, we need both the Mets and the Reds to lose their series. They can win 1 game each. We could also, in theory, simply win the series. We don't need to sweep the Padres, but then we're relying on both teams to get swept. So basically, if we lose 2 games, or if either of them win 2 games, we are out. Which sounds kind of harsh, but also you remember there's only 3 games left. So at the very least, we've made it pretty darn far, especially for a team that was not going to the playoffs. We had like a 2% chance to make the playoffs at the beginning of the month. So very impressive either way. Definitely, but that's the thing. That's what the Diamondbacks, that's what every Arizona team does. The Suns, the Cardinals, they do that where it's just, okay, here we go. We're not going to make it. And then it's like, oh man, big old run. We're going to make it. And then they get your hopes up and then it doesn't happen. So, but that being said, the Reds are playing the Brewers, the best team in baseball, though they've slowed down.
They have clinched. So
they're pretty much good to go.
For.
And then the Mets are playing the Marlins, who just got eliminated, but they've been on a tear and are probably pretty motivated to, I don't know, actually, I should have checked if they have a chance to get over 500. I think they might if they sweep. But they have been playing very, very well. So there is a fairly good chance that they could both lose the series. I don't think there's a good chance at all that they both get swept. It's possible, but I'm not counting on that in the slightest. I would never bet on that. But either way, we need to win every game starting today, tomorrow.
I have the worst case of deja vu because I can see it last series of the year, the Padres, we were at home. I was at the very last game and it was like we won, but so did the Mets, and you miss it by that much. And New York's in the postseason and we're not. And now we find ourselves 362 days later in the same exact position, playing the same exact team.
in the same place.
Who is not motivated at all to let us win anything. They're going to be playing us just as hard as the Dodgers were, because they know what that postseason chaos can look like for the Diamondbacks, and they'd rather just take their chances with the Mets.
Absolutely. And so let's look at the rotation real quick. We're running low on time here. These are supposed to be 30-minute shows. I've never gotten it under like 35. But so if you guys are still listening or watching, thank you. You guys are amazing. And by the way, leave in the comments of the YouTube video or any of the YouTube videos your guys' thoughts. Tell us how much you like Eric. Don't tell us how much you don't like him. Just text me personally and tell me that, because I don't want to hurt Eric's feelings. But you can comment if you don't like me. If you're like, man, Eric should just be running the show, go ahead and comment that. That's fine. You don't need to text that privately. Our rotation for these 3 games are going to be Gallen, Rodriguez, and Pfaadt. I pulled up their history against the Padres this season. Gallen has pitched 6. He pitched 2 games against the Padres, pitched 6 innings both times, 1 earned run both times, 1 walk both times, 3 to 4 hits, 6 to 7 strikeouts. So Gallen has done very well. Their rotation is Darvish, King, and then they haven't announced their third yet. It'll probably be a bullpen game, I imagine, but it'd be either bullpen, Pivetta, Zimmerman, or Cease. So one of those options. I imagine it'll be their bullpen. They have the best bullpen in the MLB right now. So I think they'd feel pretty confident doing that. But against the Diamondbacks, Darvish has only gone a maximum of 4 innings and gave up 3 hits, 2 to 3 runs in 2 games. So Darvish doesn't have as good of a record against us as Gallen does against them. So that's promising. Then Rodriguez, he had 1 game, and this was early in the season. And we all know early season Rodriguez, now Rodriguez, very different people. But he pitched 4 innings, gave up 4 runs, 2 of which were home runs, gave up 8 hits in that 1 game. So his record isn't looking super great. Whereas King has 1 game against us, pitched 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 0 runs. So game 2, we need classic Erod, not beginning of the year Erod. And then Pfaadt has pitched 2 games. 1 game he pitched 8 innings and gave up 2 runs. And then the other game he pitched 5 2/3, gave up 2 runs and gave up 4 to 5 hits in those games. So Gallen and Pfaadt have the record behind them, and I think they will show up. And then Rodriguez, I think he's been doing a lot better lately. I think he'll probably show up as well. The thing that needs to happen is we need to attack on the strategy is flipped from the Dodgers, which was get their starters out so we can deal with their bullpen. This one is we need to attack their starters as much as possible, because we're probably not going to score much against their bullpen. Yeah. So each of these games, we need to see our starting hitters go to town. We need like 3 of 4, 4 or 5 batting from Marte and Carroll. We need to see these guys kicking butt, but really they can only tee up so much if the middle and the bottom of the bullpen don't show up.
Yeah, I think really the people that need to step it up most is going to be guys like Alec Thomas, guys like Jake McCarthy, guys like Jordan Lawler, Blaze Alexander, Ildemaro Vargas. I mean, these guys are really going to have to step it up. I do think they're going to utilize ADC in that DH spot, specifically against Darvish. But I mean, these guys have to get the bat on the ball. They have to have good situational hitting, and we need to be able to move past the baton, like you mentioned earlier, and keep innings alive and score runs.
Yeah, we need to be able to put up crooked numbers. That's what needs to happen. Yeah. Anyway, you guys, today is the start of the final series of the 2025 regular season. The D-backs will need a miracle to make the postseason, specifically 2 more wins than the Mets and the Reds, but miracles have graced this team before. So we will see. We're not going to be here until after the final game. So we will be back here on Monday morning to recap the series and cheer or cry with you guys. But we will be posting updates on our YouTube channel as well as X and Instagram. So go follow us there if you haven't already at Locked On Diamondbacks. It's easy. It's the same as the title of the podcast. We are on YouTube as well as every other place where you can find your podcasts. If you want to see more of me, you can find more of my YouTube channels and projects at slackshack.tv. Eric, is there anywhere where people can find you?
At Eric Para AZ on all platforms.
There we go. Eric, we're probably going to have you on a little bit more. This was fun.
Yeah, no, I
and
had a great time.
I don't know yet.
It.
I don't know yet, but I think everybody's going to like you. So yeah, thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen every day. For your second listen, find the all night Locked On MLB game night every night, every game until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB game night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much, and we will see you on Monday.
Snakes alive.